What's up everyone, it's your girl Shay here, and welcome to my channel if you are new, and welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. And as you can see by the title of today's video, I'm actually going to be talking about some of my favorite novels. Now this is because I did maybe about a week ago or a few weeks ago, I believe, I did a video where I let you guys come along with me while I reorganized my bookshelf. So I'm referring to my manga bookshelf, so it's my other bookshelf that's a little bit away from me, and I reorganized that bookshelf. And a few of you guys in the comments actually asked if I could list some of my favorite books for you guys. So I figured, why not? So I have a little bitty stack of books right next to me that are some of my favorites or ones that I just highly recommend reading. So let's get started. So one of the first ones I have on my list is this book called Royally Jacked, and it is by Nikki Burnham. And pretty much is about a girl that ends up moving to a foreign country because her dad works as a guard or like a Secret Service agent, and he becomes basically he starts working for the royal family in this country. So his daughter decides to move along with him, and basically it's about her falling in love with the prince of that country. And yeah, basically about their romance and kind of some of the things that they go through. This is one, I believe, of 3 or 2 of them within this particular series. This is the first one, and I actually do have a row of books that kind of have the same character design as these books on my bookshelf, which I'll probably pick up a picture here of all of them. So yeah, definitely recommend this one. It is called Royally Jacked. The next one I have on my list is from that same kind of series of books, and this one though is called Major Crush by Jennifer Eccles. So basically this is about a girl by the name of Virginia who decides to become the drum major at her high school, but it is also pretty much a position that she basically shares with another boy by the name of Drew. And basically for Drew, him and all his brothers have become drum majors. So basically Virginia and Drew end up becoming enemies due to this fact, but they also kind of end up falling in love. So basically the entire book is about their romance, or about how they start to become romantic with each other. And I just love it. I used to read this book all the time, and it became one of my favorites. So definitely recommend Major Crush. The next one I have is actually the first one of a 10-book series, and that is Angus Bonds and Full Frontal Snogging by Louise Renison. So I remember reading this first book when I was in like middle school, and I became obsessed with it. It is written in like a diary format, but basically it's about a girl by the name of Georgia Nicholson, who is pretty much of her and her friends and her diary entries of them like chasing after boys, getting makeup, and getting into trouble, and it is hilarious. Now the book does take place over in London, over in the UK, so there is some like London, like British English that is in this book, but thankfully she actually ends up in the back of the book giving a little bit of a glossary of what certain words actually mean. So I definitely recommend checking out this book, checking out all 10. It's hilarious and you will not be disappointed. So yeah, Angus Bonds and Full Frontal Snogging, definitely check it out. So for a period of time I actually was heavily into like a lot of mysteries, or kind of like mysteries or like thriller kind of books. And one of the books that I actually ended up reading was One of Us Is Next by Karen M McManus. Now I have actually read the first one to this book. Now One of Us Is Next is the sequel to the book One of Us Is Lying, and I actually end up reading that one digitally, but I'll still post a picture of what it actually looks like, and I definitely recommend it. So basically One of Us Is Next is basically the sequel to One of Us Is Lying, and basically One of Us Is Lying is basically about these 4 kids that end up in detention together, but one of them ends up dying during detention, and of course all the other 3 kids or 4 kids I believe that were there are pretty much listed as prime suspects. Now One of Us Is Next basically is the sequel to it, and so it has some of the brand new, or actually it has all brand new characters in it, but it does definitely reference the first book, and some of the characters from the first book do end up in the second one. So definitely read One of Us is Lying first before jumping into One of Us is Next. I actually really like Karen M McManus as an author overall. I actually read one of her other books, which was called Two Can Keep a Secret, which was also really good, about twins. And the next one I also plan to read, which I haven't read yet, is her newest one called The Cousins. So Karen M McManus is definitely a good author to go for if you're looking for a thriller novel. Definitely recommend this so much. So yeah, definitely I love it. It was just a page turner. So yeah, definitely read this one. So the next one I have is actually another mystery novel, and that is The Cheerleaders by Kara Thomas, sorry. And basically The Cheerleaders is basically about this town where they no longer have cheerleaders, and that is because they've been having a lot of their cheerleaders turn up dead. So they figure that they just will no longer have them. But it's a huge mystery involving like what actually happened to these cheerleaders. And basically you're just following several different characters and how they're trying to solve this mystery. Basically, that's the bottom line. Once again, such a page turner, had me from beginning to end. And I can't. Like, I definitely recommend reading this book. Like, please read it. It is so good. But yeah, The Cheerleaders by Kara Thomas. Check it out. Read it. So leading into one more that I have that is a thriller, and that one is There's Someone Inside Your House by Stephanie Perkins. Now I have to be completely honest with you. I had this book for maybe like 2 years, if not a little bit longer, and it took me a long time to actually read this book. But I finally read it. Basically, it's about a girl that ends up moving from Hawaii to basically like kind of like the middle of nowhere to live with her grandmother. And pretty much there is a serial killer on the loose in this town, but it's only going after the high school students where this girl goes. Her name is Makani Young. Like I said, she's from Hawaii. And basically her and her friends are trying to figure out who this is, who is murdering all these high school students and what is the motive behind it. I definitely recommend reading this. It starts off a little bit slow, I'll be completely honest with you, but once it gets really exciting, you cannot put it down. I also know that Netflix is coming out with a movie or a series based off this same book. So definitely check this out, especially if you want to watch the Netflix movie. But I will probably say this now, the book is probably going to be better than the movie. But yeah, There's Someone Inside Your House. Definitely check this out. And now to get away from all of the like thriller and all those thriller books, I have The Hate You Give. Now, I had heard about this book a few years ago, and I know that a lot of people were reading it at one point. I know that I was watching a lot of BookTube, and BookTube was talking about it a whole lot, so I had to pick it up for myself. So I did read this about over a year ago, though, and I have to say, it was a book that I could not put down and that I related to a lot. So The Hate You Give is about a girl by the name of Star who basically ends up witnessing one of her friends killed by the police, and basically it's about kind of the trauma that she goes through with that, and also the fact that she feels like she's split between two worlds. She's split between the world where she lives in, which is predominantly black, but then she's also split between the school she goes to, which is predominantly white. So she feels like she has to put on two different personalities in order for her to pretty much to fit in. So for me, I greatly enjoyed reading this. It made me sad. It made me relate so much to this character, and it also made me angry. And yeah, I highly recommend it. There's also a movie as well. The movie is amazing. I definitely recommend the movie as well. And the movie also made me cry and made me angry and made me sad. But yeah, and those of you guys are asking like, why did I relate to Star as a character? And mostly that's because I went to a lot of predominantly white schools, and I was usually almost either the only black person at my school or the only black female. But yeah, that's why I related to Star a little bit as a character when reading this book. But I definitely recommend reading it. It's so good. And the last and final book that I have is one that is my absolute favorite. I actually got it as a Christmas gift from one of my friends back in middle school, and it is a book that I continue to read over and over and over again. It actually is also a part of a series, but I've read the other 2 books as well, but they to me were not as good as this one. And this one is called Romietta and Julio, and it is by Sharon M. Draper. Sorry, I hope I said that correctly. But basically, she wrote 2 other books called Tears of a Tiger and Forged by Fire, but this was actually her 3rd novel, Romietta and Julio. So basically what it is basically a modern day telling of Romeo and Juliet. But of course, their names are switched. So Romietta basically is the girl, and they live in not Texas. I forget what town they live in. I want to say they live in Ohio. That's where they live. And Julio is originally from Texas, and he moves to Ohio. And there's gangs involved, and of course, Romietta and Julio end up falling in love. But the best part is that the way they meet is online in a chat room. And they find out they go to the same school as each other, and then from there they kind of fall in love. They do go through a little bit of like some backlash when people start to see that they're falling in love with each other, because Romietta is Black and Julio is Mexican. And I loved this book so much. Now, as someone that has said that they didn't enjoy reading a manga that was basically another telling of Romeo and Juliet, people are probably surprised that I liked this book so much. But I think because it's such a modern day telling, it had gangs in it, it had everything that Romeo and Juliet had in it, but better, if that makes sense. But yeah, I love this book so much. It is so worn. It's like got tears in the back. Like, yeah, I've read this book so much, and I highly recommend it. I don't know if you'll be able to find it inside of a bookstore, but you probably can find it digitally or find it online. But yeah, definitely recommend reading this. Definitely one of my favorite books. But yeah, that is all of my favorite books that I have. I actually have a lot more in like different categories. So I also have like my favorite memoirs or my favorite biographies that I have. I have quite a few on my shelf. I went through a period of time where I really loved reading about other people's lives and kind of like whatever they've gone through or how they conquered it. So I can definitely do another one if you guys really like this one. I also have more fiction books that I absolutely enjoy. Trust me, the books I have on my bookshelf are not the only books that I own. I own so much more, but they're all at my mom's house, so I don't have access to them right now. But all the books that I have here, I absolutely love. And yeah, so maybe I'll do another one of like what's on my TBR shelf, because I do have a few books on there that I still have yet to read. But yeah, that's what I have for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed like looking into what some of my favorite novels are, since I know I usually talk about mostly manga or mostly anime, but I love novels as well. I like just love going to the bookstore. It's like one of my favorite places, even though now I'm trying to read more books digitally. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will leave links below to my social media accounts. I have an Instagram, a Twitter, and a blog, so please check me out on there. And of course, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, give it a thumbs down. Let me know what you guys like and what you guys don't like. And of course, please subscribe if you haven't already, especially if you're already on my channel. Just subscribe. You know you want to. But yeah, that's what I have for you guys. Like I always tell you guys, stay positive, stay nerdy, and in today's day and age, stay healthy, and of course, please stay safe. All right, you guys, bye.